think, Marge. All I need is a title.
In this episode, we are updating our look at the 2018 midterm elections with a particular eye toward the U.S. Senate, which could swing either way. But as we will see, the picture still looks better for the GOP than it does for the Democrats, at least for now. As you probably know by now, Democrat Doug Jones won the race for the U.S. Senate seat in Alabama that was vacated when Jeff Sessions became the Attorney General. This narrows the GOP lead in the Senate down to 2 votes, which means for the moment that the GOP cannot afford to have as many of their members going AWOL as they have had in the past. 2018 might be a year when Democrats try to get some stuff done, because it may take some Democrat votes to get anything through the Senate. They may be further pushed to make some agreements if the GOP tax plan passes today, because the GOP will be able to say that they accomplished something while they can label the Democrats as obstructionists. So if you are a Dem, you'd better be able to come home and say you did something for the people in your district. It seems as though the sexual misconduct allegations did more damage to the campaign of Judge Roy Moore than anybody thought. It can possibly never be known how many of the roughly 17,000 write-in ballots were caused by the scandal, but since the margin of victory was 15,000 votes, they made the difference. Also, some GOP voters may have stayed home rather than vote for Moore. Some residents of the state called into national radio shows after the election results were in to suggest that Roy Moore simply was not a good candidate, citing his numerous instances of disobeying court orders regarding the Ten Commandments controversy. So now, Alabama has elected its first Democrat senator in a very long time, and as predicted, the Dems are now hooting about how this means they could take over the Senate in 2018, and how Trump can't do anything to get people elected, and so on. First off, the Jones victory does not change the mathematical disadvantage that the Dems have in the 2018 election. They are simply defending more seats, and a lot of those seats are in states that Donald Trump won by a large margin. There are too many aspects of the Alabama election that are one-time events that cause people to not want to vote for the GOP candidate. It should not be seen as some huge mandate for the Democrats, and there is some talk that Doug Jones may be inclined to deal with the Trump administration because he will be up for re-election in 2020. Of course, sexual misconduct has taken its toll on Minnesota Senator Al Franken, who has announced that he will retire, quote, in the coming weeks. This sets up 2 possibilities. The first is that he does retire, and the governor of Minnesota selects a replacement to fill the seat until a special election in 2018. This means that the seat is in play now rather than later, and it means that the GOP will have a better play on it. Minnesota's Lieutenant Governor, Tina Smith, is most likely going to take the seat in this scenario, and may not get to do much. Lieutenant governors are not known for doing much of anything, and with just about 1 year in office, Smith will not have a lot of time to make a mark if she wants to retain the seat. The state's GOP party senses an opportunity to pick up a seat here, and this all depends on who they get to run. I would think that this would have to be someone who has good name recognition across the state, and someone with a good reputation. I do not see this as a case of Trumpification of the state, as the GOP must first win the seat and be satisfied with that, and hopefully the new guy will work with the president. In the second scenario, Al Franken does not resign, as a few of his colleagues are telling him. One cannot underestimate the importance of the albatross that would have been hung around the neck of every GOP member of the Senate if Roy Moore had been elected and seated in the chamber. In that case, if Franken was gone, the Dems would be able to point at Moore and say, well, at least we don't allow pedophiles in our party. And in fact, if I were in the DNC leadership in the Senate, I would have told my members to support seating the guy for exactly that reason. Now, however, with Moore defeated and with Doug Jones about ready to take the seat, the need for Franken to resign has gone away. His accuser has forgiven him, he has agreed to cooperate with the ethics panel, and the Dems would probably be better off defending his seat in 2020 rather than the GOP lopsided election that will be held in 2018. While Minnesota may crack like the rest of the Dems' blue wall in the northern Midwest, I don't see it happening. So for now, Politics City will keep this seat in Democrat hands. Where we perhaps do see some Trumpification possibilities are in Arizona, where Senator and GOP squish Jeff Flake is retiring. This is an opportunity for the GOP to run someone on the coattails of Donald Trump, and this might be where today's tax bill vote really pays off. If the economy booms over the next year, the GOP candidate will be able to point to that as examples of policies they intend to promote when they get elected. And paycheck issues tend to drive votes. Politics City predicts that this seat will remain in GOP hands, and may be an example of Trumpification. Now, we have already mentioned the math of the 2018 election and how this particular election favors the GOP simply because the Dems are defending more seats. It is important for the GOP to pick up as many seats as they can in the U.S. Senate in 2018, not only for maintaining and expanding their majorities, but because the math starts to reverse in 2020 and again in 2022, as you can see. If President Trump has presided over 4 years of economic growth and strong pro-American policies, he will easily win re-election, and this may allow the GOP to better defend their current position. However, it then becomes completely dependent on what GOP leaders do between 2020 and 2022, because even Donald Trump will be of little use in getting party members elected to office as a lame duck president. I don't see much in the way of other changes to the political map. I'm sure, however, that things will become more active as the political season progresses. Please like and subscribe if you wish, and feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. We'll check back again in the new year. In the meantime, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year!